How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. You can do things with Bitcoin that you've never been able to do before, at least not this easily. And a lot of people, when they look at the Bitcoin ETFs, they just look at who's buying, like, is there net buying? But they don't really look at the underlying ability of investors to buy these ETFs for the first time. They don't look at who now is interested in the ETFs and how this just spreads how many people can buy. And it's more than just what people think initially, which is, oh, well, people can buy easier because they don't have to self-custody. They can just buy it in their brokerage accounts. Yes, that is a big part of it, but there's much more happening behind the scenes. I want to talk about that. I actually covered it in a video recently, but it was towards the end of a video, so I want to make a full video on this. If you don't mind, hit subscribe. Turn on the bell notification underneath the video to see future videos just like this one. There's also a link down there to Margex where you can trade cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, and you can use leverage. There's no KYC. You don't need a VPN to access it, and they have something called the MP Shield, which stops price manipulations from liquidating you. It definitely minimizes the risk of that. So definitely check this link out underneath the video. And they have a bunch of other cryptocurrencies you can trade on here as well. Uniswap recently went up 70% in an hour. Actually, over on HGAlgo, it did give us a little bit of an indicator right when we started to see bullish momentum. If you had gotten in at the very top of this candle even, it would be up 50%, even if you just bought spot. But you can trade it over on Margex, so you could have been up hundreds of percent. So definitely check out both of those links underneath the video. Now, obviously, a lot of people have been paying attention to this Bitcoin ETF narrative. And I realize that people understand that this unlocks a lot more capital. Obviously, the thing that people think about is, one, there are just a lot of people that never had access to Bitcoin or weren't willing to buy in self-custody or open up another app. This is the big narrative. Like, okay, mom and dad of XYZ, cousin Joe, whatever, your neighbor down the street, now they can start buying Bitcoin. Maybe they go through their financial advisors and they say you can start buying Bitcoin. That, I think, is going to be pushed off. Like, a lot of financial advisors can't really talk about this yet. It has to go through compliance. This is also a huge stamp of approval from Wall Street. They're buying Bitcoin. They're willing to sell you Bitcoin. So that says, hey, Bitcoin's not a scam. For anyone that doesn't know this, Bitcoin's not a scam. You can buy it with us. It also is kind of a stamp of approval from the governments as well. They are saying Bitcoin's not a scam. You can buy it. It's not just a couple companies buying and then you're buying their stock. Now, you can literally get direct access or direct exposure to Bitcoin via spot Bitcoin ETFs. And we're going to allow them to advertise it. Google's allowing you to advertise it, all that kind of stuff. But there are other investors now that can start buying Bitcoin and are wanting to start buying Bitcoin. There are a couple things you can do with Bitcoin now that you couldn't do before. So one thing is something that's coming up here very soon. You can sell and buy options. Now, I realize there are ways to hedge investments right now in Bitcoin, but they're pretty sophisticated compared to just going on Robinhood or going in your Fidelity account and selling some options or buying some options. This is something that a lot of people like, especially like wealthier people that maybe are living off their portfolio. They like being able to sell options. Now, I'm looking at Tesla here. In case you don't know how option selling works, I'm not going to explain it fully in this video, but it basically allows you to sell the option or buy the option of buying securities or selling securities at specific amounts, and you get paid to do so. Now, that's not a very good explanation, but let's just look at Tesla. Tesla has a similar volatility, I'd say, to Bitcoin. They're both pretty volatile. If you look at Tesla and you say, okay, I want to sell a call for August 16th, so about 6 months from now, I think that if Bitcoin goes up 20%, maybe I want to take some profits on it, right? Some people might say that. Okay, 20%. Tesla's up at 192 right now. So 20% up from there is at $230 strike price. So if you say, hey, I'm willing to sell Tesla at $230, even if it's at like 300 or if it's at 240 or 232, I'm willing to sell it at $230 6 months from now. You will get paid $13.60 per share to give someone the ability to buy it at $230. So this gives you about 7% of the overall value of your Tesla shares today in premium. So you get paid out in cash to give someone else the ability to buy at 230 for 6 months. So this is a way of getting cash flow from assets that don't usually produce cash flow. Like Tesla doesn't pay a dividend. Bitcoin doesn't pay a dividend, but you could sell options or buy options on it. And I'm not saying that I'm necessarily going to do this because there are some downsides to this, especially for volatile assets. But some people don't want to buy assets that don't have that option. So this allows some investors to buy Bitcoin or Bitcoin ETFs, which in turn buys more Bitcoin. And they've never been able to do it before. Another group of people that will probably be buying are people that want to maybe take loans against their Bitcoin. Now, I know that there have been different products for this in the past, but a lot of them have been more risky. Like right now, you can actually just go buy the Bitcoin ETFs in a retirement account or in a brokerage account. And if it's in a brokerage, depending on where it is, you could probably get a loan against it. I actually know M1 Finance. This is an app that I use. There's actually a link to it. You don't have to use it, but there is a link to it underneath the video in case you want to fund an account there. You can do loans against your portfolio up to 40% loan to value. So if you buy 2 Bitcoin worth of these ETFs, so like $100,000 worth, you can go withdraw $40,000 through a loan. So the cool thing about this is, let's say you buy that $100,000 worth and then Bitcoin goes up significantly. Let's say it goes up to $100,000, right? That's $200,000. You could do a withdrawal, or you could take a loan of $80,000. So almost your initial investment. And let's say you had some kind of emergency or some kind of investment opportunity. You don't have to sell the Bitcoin at that weird stage where you might sell it and have Bitcoin go up to $200,000 and then you lose out. You could just take a loan against it. Of course, Bitcoin's price could fall down and you could have to repay the loan. But this is something that the rich do. Like a lot of the time, they don't want to sell assets if they've gone down in price, if they still like the asset, because you're selling at a loss. You would rather take a loan against it. Or if it's gone up a lot in price too, you don't necessarily want to sell because then you get a taxable event. So some people like to just take loans against their assets. So this is something else that you can do much easier now that these BTC ETFs have been approved. Another thing you can do is just invest in retirement accounts. A lot of people don't want to buy spot Bitcoin because it's just treated like a brokerage account. And of course, talk to a financial advisor. But if you buy Bitcoin and then sell it, you make $100,000. Well, you have to pay taxes on that. But if you buy the Bitcoin ETFs in a Roth IRA or an HSA or a 401k, you can get away with not paying taxes. It's all legal. So there are people that just want to buy this, even people that own Bitcoin that want to buy this in retirement accounts. I know someone that recently said their entire HSA, their health savings account, is in the Bitcoin ETFs now. So they believe in Bitcoin a lot. They have a really high allocation of Bitcoin and they want exposure in retirement accounts because eventually they'll use that HSA for something and they'd rather have the money be in Bitcoin than US dollars or even stocks over the time period between now and when they actually use their health savings account. So this is something else that's cool. Like even people that have access to Bitcoin, that buy a lot of Bitcoin, they didn't have access to it in certain accounts. So now they're actually increasing the buying pressure. Like let's say you were super bullish on Bitcoin, right? Let's say you're 100% Bitcoin, but you didn't want to buy MicroStrategy or a CleanSpark or a Bitcoin miner before. So you did have retirement accounts, but you didn't have them in Bitcoin, but you had everything else in Bitcoin. Let's say all your brokerage accounts or all your money outside of those retirement accounts were in Bitcoin. Now you still can buy more Bitcoin because you have access to it in retirement accounts. So there's extra buying pressure there. And as time goes on, more and more people will realize what these Bitcoin ETFs are. They'll get pushed these Bitcoin ETFs, and this is just going to cause more and more buying pressure. I think these Bitcoin ETFs, how many times have I said that? But I think these ETFs were so bullish for so many different reasons, and people look at the surface level and it's great. More and more people can buy. But this provides so much more flexibility in the instrument that is Bitcoin or in the investment. This provides loans. This provides cash flow. This provides ease of buying that we haven't seen before. So I just wanted to bring that to you. Again, you can check out the links underneath the video in case you want to check out HGAlgo or Margex. Let me know if there's anything that I didn't cover that you can now do with Bitcoin or the Bitcoin ETFs. Let me know in the comment section if there's anything I missed. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will see you in the next video. Bye.